St. John's Duel Society. Today we got Raph, aka the Keeper, with us today, giving us a deck profile of something special he calls the Tengu Heroes. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, as you heard, I'm Raph, aka the Keeper. My channel link will be posted up there. I have two right now. My main one is the Undead Keeper, but the one I'm going to be using indefinitely right now is LP Fan for Life 1. They'll spell it and I'll link it up on top in the annotations. So today I'm going to just run through my deck real quick and then answer some questions afterward. I have the main and the extra deck out, and I'll run through the side deck myself.
Alright, so why don't we get started with this?
Alright, so as you can see, I got 3 Tengus, 2 Rai Ohs, 2 Veilers, 2 Maxx, 1 Snowman Eater, 1 Grand Mole, 1 Evocator Chevalier, 1 Ice Edge, 3 Alius, Neos Alius, 1 Ocean, and 1 Stratos as the monster lineup, 18 monsters. Now for the spells, 3 Duality, 2 Spark, 2 Miracle Fusion, 1 Parallel World Fusion, 1 Super Poly, 1 ROTA, Equal, Future Fusion, Reborn, and Dark Hole. And for the traps, pretty standard lineup for, I think, a hero deck. 2 Warning, 2 Bribe, 2 Deep Prison, 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential, 1 Starlight Road, and a Solemn Judgement.
Alright, pretty standard. So,
And now for the extra deck.
yeah, let's get to that.
The Stardust for the Starlight Road, Draco Knight, Dragon Knight Draco Quest, Vision Hero Adoration, Gaia, Nova Master, 2 Great Tornadoes, 2 Zeros, 3 Shinings, 2 Utopias, and 1 Roach.
Alright, so pretty solid. So the first thing that stands out to me is the name is called Tengu Heroes, and I see that you run 3 Tengu Heroes. So why don't you tell me a little about why you choose to do that? Well,
new card that came out is Elemental Hero Great Tornado. He's the new fusion monster. He's a 2800 beater, and he's a Gale for the field, essentially. No face-up monsters your opponent controls, he halves them for the entire time that they're out there and face-up. So they're only out to one of those. It's like Book of Moon or just trying to get over a 2800 beater who has 22 defense.
Alright.
So Tengu is 1, a target for that, and 2, it's a floater. So it makes the deck that's 42 cards a little faster. The only problem is I draw it a lot. So that's the downside, but I still like playing it. It helps OTK power with Miracle Fusion if I'm doing it from the field, Super Poly as well. So it's just a really nice card to have, I think, for this format.
Alright, so moving on, we see also that you're maining Snowman Eater. Tell us about your decision on that, because people usually side Snowman Eater, but we see that you're maining it. So what's your take on that?
I've seen decks that played it both in the main or in the side. I sided in my Gravekeepers, but for this deck I felt it was main-worthy because 1, it is an absolute 0 target. 2, it's a 1900 wall. Most of the beaters in this game right now are 1900 attack, like Rai Oh right here. So if they're going to run into it, they're going to think that it's either like a Plague Spreader if they don't know what I'm playing, or they're going to think it's a Shine Ball set as a bluff. When they hit this, they'll take no damage, but, I mean, if I'm playing the GB player, it's even better because then they're going to take the damage and I'm going to get rid of their monster before they get to tag. But it gets rid of Rai Oh. Rai Oh is a pesky problem when you're playing cards like Stratos and Equal and ROTA. Granted, I can play around it very easily, but it does get annoying sometimes. So I like the fact that he's a wall, he'll stay there, and it becomes fodder for Miracle Fusion.
Alright, cool. So moving on, we see that you also main Evocator. Tell us about that and why you choose not to go with Heat.
Alright, so yeah, I use the Fire Target for Nova Master, which is awesome because the deck needs draw power and he's a draw card. But Evocator Chevalier, on top of being a 1900 beater, which is why I'm playing him, he's a Gemini. So it helps with the 2 Gemini Sparks that I play right here. It gives me draw power and destruction power because I don't like MST.
Alright. Oh yeah, and also speaking about the MST, why aren't you maining any MSTs? And I also see no Heavy Storm, so give us a little take on
It's kind of just a player preference in terms of running MSTs and Heavy Storms. Heavy Storm, yeah, it's a really good card. You probably shouldn't main it in any other deck other than Gravekeepers, but another feeling that I have like that is just like True Nade. This deck, granted, I would run True Nade if I could in this deck, but I can't. But the fact of losing all my spells and traps, I'm not fond of. Yeah, I can bait it out, I can make my own Starlight Road play, and I can take out my opponent's back row, but more often than not, most of my matchups are not going to be against a heavy back row, and I don't like to have to deal with having to face Starlight Road without something else to negate it, so that, yeah, maybe all my shit gets destroyed, or their shit getting destroyed is negated, but I don't want to have to deal with that problem on top of having a Stardust out there. Granted, I can play around with the Dragon Knight Draco Request, but it's just not something I really want to do. I'd rather just play my back row and set my bluff cards like dualities.
Understandable. So,
alright, so, why no synchros?
Well, yeah, I run the Veilers, but with the hero lineup that I have, I don't find enough room to really run anything other than Stardust for the Starlight Road. I probably could if I took out the Adoration, which is the only viable target I see. Everything else seems pretty much staple for the deck, at least because I'm running Tengus. The Great Tornado seem like 2 is a staple. I could run a Catastor over that, or I could run another Gaia, but I like the one Adoration, especially against the mirror match.
What about Brio?
I don't have targets to go for Brio. Unless I have a set Maxx out there with a Snowman Eater, what's my tuner to make it?
Monster Reborn.
I don't want to have to bank on special summoning their card to make one synchro. I'd rather just play out what my deck can use than having a dead spot in my extra deck that I could be using for something else.
alright. So, moving on. What do you usually do against Gozen Match and Rivalry of the Warlords?
Alright, so Gozen Match is probably going to be more hurtful to me than Rivalry, because most of my stuff is Warriors. The 7 main cards here are Warriors. I can play around it because these never see the field. This is set, and that's there as the tech. Either I'll have no field when I go in with the mole, or I'll have a setup where I have one face down and attack over with the mole. So Gozen Match would probably hurt me more than Rivalry. But I get to play around it pretty easily in terms of Gozen because of my light targets, and most of the decks that are going to be playing that are already one-typed. So I'll be able to benefit off that. So it's like, oh, they're playing fairies, they're going to play the Gozen Mash, and they have lights. Alright, cool. I can super poly off their monsters with my light monster, or any hero that I choose, and make my light target. Go Shining, and I'll have my field set, go Alius, attack, Gemini Spark.
No doubt,
That's how I'll get around Gozen Match and Rival.
Alright. Also, I see, Maxx, you decide to run 2.
Yeah.
Maxx has had a significant impact on the meta recently. So, tell us why you choose to run 2, and if you're not playing against a deck that is special summon heavy, what do you usually side out for that?
Alright. Maxx has been one of the biggest cards to either stop plays from happening or forcing your opponent to kill you in the first turn. Like, if they don't stop that play, they have to kill you that turn, because you'll have such a hand advantage that you'll be going in with 15 card hand and massive amounts of plays. But the reason now that I'm running 2, which by the way guys I need a second one, so anyone looking to trade. The reason I'm running 2 is because now I'm playing the Veilers. Since I saw Dark Worlds flop at the YCS, there was only 10% of the field running them. I felt that the Veilers were too good to not play anymore. Plants are still the meta, so that's what I'm going to be worried about. I'll play the 2 Veilers, and the point of the Maxx, which before I was running just the Maxx, I didn't see a point in just running one Maxx with no Veiler. You want to be able to draw in something that's going to stop that mid-play.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to play the 2 Maxx and the 2 Veilers.
Alright.
Billy Break ran 3 Maxx and 1 Veiler, but that's because he also anticipated a heavy Dark World setting. So this is why I like 2 Maxx.
Cool. So one last question for you. Why do you favor running the Geminis over the Fusion Gate heroes? Anything in particular? Why?
Well, actually, I used to run both in the same token with 3 Sparks and 2 Fusion Gates, but I'm just testing out this build right now. If I don't like it, I'll probably go back to the Hero Gate.
Yep.
But I just really like the fact that this deck functions really well. I needed to find space to make room for the 2 Maxxis and the 2 Veilers, and that's what I found as my targets. The 2 Fusion Gates, which are now in my side deck, and 1 Spark, as well as another card that I was using here. Really quickly, let me just run through the side deck. When I'm siding out for the Maxxis, it really depends on the deck. Usually when I'm siding out Maxxi, it's going to be like a deck against Gravekeepers.
Yeah,
in which case, I'll throw in the Bottomlesses.
So show us the side deck.
Heavy monsters. 2 Bottomless, 1 Transmigration Prophecy, 2 MSTs, because yes, they are necessary in the side deck when you're running into those matchups like Mirror Match.
True.
2 Fusion Gates, like I explained. I can still go off with the OTK. I'll probably side that in against most matchups, but when you run into the Mirror Match, that's something you definitely don't want to have.
No
but
doubt,
mostly, I'll probably play this against Dark World when I side in D-Fissures. One Parallel World Fusion on the side for when I go Fusion Gate and when I go D-Fissure. Another Super Poly against mostly like light decks, plant decks that'll have a lot of attributes that I can play around to get different monsters out on the field, and also for the mirror match. 2 D-Fissures, because my deck can function from out of play with Miracle Fusion, Parallel World Fusion. In terms of needing my graveyard, I don't really need it as much, so I'll just like side out Reborn, side out Future Fusion, put in the D-Fissures. It hurts a lot of decks in the meta. Plants have a hard time playing around it, Dark World will have a hard time playing around it, and I just really like the card. Gravekeepers also have a hard time with that. 2 DD Warrior Ladies because of GBs mostly. GBs can't really get around this. Gravekeepers also have a problem with removal, and TGs. TGs have a horrible time with this. Same with the D-Fissures. You get this, they won't be able to search. And the good thing about playing this against Dark World, she gets over every monster on that field, except for the big ones, Grapha, Rainbow. Those are the only ones that it'll really get over. And then 2 Fossil Dino.
That's kind of self-explanatory, so
Yeah, that's
thank you for the deck profile.
Thanks, guys. Comment, rate, subs,
please,
both St. John's Duel Society
please
and my
rate,
channels.
comment, subscribe. This is Raph signing out. This is St. John's Duel Society signing out. So catch you guys later.
Peace.